Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in again to Angler's Outpost. I'm George, host and master angler, and with me as always, Josh Taylor, our intrepid fisherman. And Josh, welcome back. You've been traveling for a while.
Yeah, I have been. I've been spending some time down in Texas, exploring some of the fishing they have down there. It's wild, completely different. I'm excited to share that with everyone pretty soon.
Yeah, well, you picked the worst time of year, I think, to go down there. It's kind of like record heat. I know it was hot here, but
it was wild. You kind of figure it's going to be warm, and you get there and actually experience it, and it's just otherworldly.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But just a reminder to the folks at home that Angler's Outpost is sponsored by Deeper Smart Sonar. I want you guys to log on to deepersonar.com and see for yourself why we believe Deeper is the world's #1 portable, castable sonar. But what a show we got lined up for today, Josh. I mean, we have a fantastic guest. Kind of going to hit home with you. I mean, I know you grew up in the UK.
Yep, I did.
So we have a real badass rock and roll fisherman joining us today. I want to introduce you guys to Glascoe Jr. Ant, you with us?
Hey guys, I'm right here, boys. How is everything?
Oh, it's fantastic here.
How's everything with yourself?
Yeah, man, bit busy, getting up to all sorts of stuff, but apart from that, we're in the middle of a bit of a storm right here in Manchester at the moment, so no fishing for me today.
Well, that's okay. We'll sit here and talk to you on the phone a while. How's that instead?
That's cool, man. That's cool.
What I want to do, guys, any of you guys not familiar with Ant Glascoe, the guy is all over media. He's an expert fisherman. He's been on TV probably more than anybody that I know of in the UK. World Fishing Day, I think they were all over the news. I think you were out there, right?
I was, yeah. I was. The guy sent me over to Paris to do some street fishing. But unfortunately, we had some issues with sound, getting Wi-Fi over there and stuff like that. So we had a few problems, but we made it on TV, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking at that. That was really neat. But for you guys not familiar with Ant, we got a little bit of a video just to introduce you to Ant. Let's go take a look at this.
Ant Glascoe Jr. is speaking all the way from the UK, and I'm here to show you guys my own unique style of fishing, mixing it with rock and roll. I come from a huge fishing background. I was given a fishing rod when I was 2 years old, and basically, just to keep me sort of quiet, so I didn't get on my dad's nerves or whatever. He used to set the fishing rod up and say, "There's some fish in that puddle there. Just go and catch them." And I'd sit there, like a total idiot, thinking there's fish in this puddle. But that's where I started. From then onwards, it progressed on to fishing on my dad's knee and my mom's knee, 4 years old. And then when I think I was about 3.5, maybe 4 years old, I caught my dad let me reel in my first pike. From then onwards, I think the birth of a northern Manchester predator hunter was produced. Boat fishing and fishing and just being in the outdoors is just, it's a normal thing. It's normal to visit my parents and to be my mom getting a fishing gear ready for weekend in North Wales, and things like that. It's just bizarre. Like I say, I learned everything off my old fella who sadly passed away maybe just over a year ago. My dad was my right hand man. We fished everywhere together. We were a double act. We were a team. So that's where it all started. I started at a very, very early age. And I was lucky enough to have the whole family involved. Like I say, there's never been a day in my life when we've not had a boat or we've not had a big major fishing trip planned. So it helps as well with my mum being half Norwegian, so we're a Scottish, Irish, Norwegian, Mancunian mix of people. I consider myself very lucky.
All right, but that was pretty wild. What do you think, Josh?
Very, very cool.
Yeah, that was nuts. Hey, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Ant, is, especially over here, the fishing's so different, I think, in the States versus over in the UK. I think one of the misperceptions when you talk about fishing in the UK, you always think of the English gent getting out his bivvy. He's got his ballies, and they're going out with their little carp cradle and going out carp fishing for the weekend. But you blow that away. I mean, you guys got some monster pike, and you just destroy that myth.
Yeah, I mean, it's each to their own, I mean, the carp fishing, you know, I have respect for, but it's just not my cup of tea, you know. And the same with, you know, I know some really respected pro carp guys, and we get on, and we just take the mick out of each other, or you know, but we just enjoy it. And you know, I chase things with teeth, and them guys chase things that eat anything.
Sure.
You know.
No,
but
if you look at your profile, I mean, I see you just don't take yourself that seriously. I see you go out and you have fun, whether you're catching, you know, 20-pound pike or you're in a little tiny 2-foot stream catching natives. You just have a blast wherever you go.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, George, there is too much seriousness in the angling world, you know, and I've been brought up to, you know, not to go out there and chase the biggest fish. My dad always said to me, God rest his soul, he says, son, if you go out there and catch a big fish, it's a bonus. If you catch a fish, it's a bigger bonus. And if you're out at all, fishing, it's an even bigger bonus if you're not catching. So, you know, I think you just got to go out there, and if you catch a monster, you know, it's just luck. You know, it's being in the right place at the right time. And yeah, it's a bonus.
Yeah, I think you said that was one of the first fish you caught when you were like 3 years old, was a pike, right?
It was a pike, yeah. I vaguely remember it, but I was sat on my dad's knee, and he had a live bait out, and this pike came along, and he basically just gave me the rod and helped me reel it in.
Yeah, well that's how most people start, and I think that's the kind of way. I know myself, we have pike here in the States where we're at in northeast Pennsylvania. But I think it was a chain pickerel, my first fish. Yeah. And you know, to me that was, I mean, it was only an 18-incher. It was a little guy. But when you're a little kid yourself, that's the biggest fish in the world when you catch one. So I think that was a good thing. That certainly had me hooked. But it's great. Now, do you actually do carp fishing, or are you strictly on the toothy critters?
Well, to be fair, I mean, when I was in my early teens, I had a go. You know, I must admit, it is tempting if you sat there and the fishing for the predators is a little bit low, you know, or a little bit sort of slow, and you see a carp feeding on the surface, you know, you just can't help but think, wow, I want to catch that. So I went through a phase of surface fishing for carp with dog biscuits, bread, and stalking them. You know, I've never sat there in a bivvy for 6 months waiting for a run, you know, or you know, and or anything like that. It's just, like I keep saying, it's not my cup of tea, you know, and the guys who I know who are dedicated carp fishermen, very, very well known, they see me as nuts walking around the canal with a bucket full of lures, casting pieces of wood and stuff. So it's each to their own, man. But I have tried it, and I you know, I do enjoy it. Yeah, I will admit that. Well, I've not done it for many years though. I've not fished for carp for many years.
That's one of the things I think the folks here in the States are lacking. I mean, some folks do the carp, and actually Josh turned me onto that a couple of years ago when the striper fishing was really off, and he says, well, let's go for carp. And I haven't done that since I was a kid, and you forget, you get your hands on a 20-some pound carp, you've really got your hands full.
Yeah, they pull.
It's a really good time. Yeah. And if your options are limited, you know, just to get out in the water, like you said, just getting out fishing is a bonus. So that's some of the things.
It is, mate. It is, and not only that, you're sharing them moments with your friends or your family or whoever you're out there with, you know, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now talk a little bit more about the pike. I mean, you've caught some real beasts I've seen on your profile here.
Yeah. I mean, I've not had a big one for a while, to be fair, but you know, I've not been targeting them. You know, I love pike, and yeah, they're one of my favourite fish. I've been lucky enough to catch some real beautiful big fish from bizarre locations around the UK and Canada. But to be honest with you, you know, I've been mostly spending 2 years dedicating my fishing to our perch. Which the perch fishing is that really grabs me by the man bits, if you want to.
Yeah, no, I get you. I just can't believe.
They're awesome.
I can't believe the size of the perch in the UK. I was looking on the some of your photos, and you know, Josh and I we'll go out ice fishing for perch, and you get, you know, maybe if you get one that's 12 inches, that's a beast. Yeah. That's a throwaway back over in the UK.
For sure, yeah. And those are
Yeah.
redfin perch, right, Ant? Is that the name of them?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. We just call them perch. Some guys call them jumbo perch, or you can call them redfins. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So what's your
Or
technique for them?
stripies. Basically, jig fishing, drop shot, and basically just small spinner baits. If it's really hard fishing, some venues where they won't even touch lures, and you fish little live baits, or maybe even small dead baits. But I've not done that for a while. But my main tactic for perch is I have two setups. I use a small shad with a jig head, so jig fishing for them. And once I search them out and I've found where the fish are, then I'll send in the drop shot.
Gotcha.
Very nice.
It almost sounds like our bass fishing.
Yeah.
Very, very similar technique for that.
Well, they're very close to
similar.
the size on.
They are.
Like 2-3 pound bass. You can target them the same way.
That is really true. They're huge. But I see on you also like a lot of soft baits. Is that one of your preferred methods, Ant?
It is, mate. Yeah, I mean, I started. I was lucky enough to have friends in the States when I was growing up and family in the States. So many years ago, before the soft baits was even heard of in the UK, I'm talking very mid 80s, early 90s, and I was getting stuff sent over, Gary Yamamoto stuff, and I was using that but as you was getting older and money was getting a little bit where you had to sort of make your own pocket money and stuff, I was making my own soft baits, my own soft lures out of silicone.
Okay.
And when I was like 6 and 7 years old, I was catching perch on them using the drop shot method. Again, I was lucky enough to have been shown the drop shot method way before people in the UK was doing it.
Right.
But soft baits for pike, perch, zander, a walleye, soft baits for me are killers. I do like me traditional jerk baits as well.
Right.
But mainly for pike.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Actually, what triggered this interview is I think you posted up a picture on Facebook with a big old zander, and I was like, we got to get over there and try some of that.
Oh man, some of the zander, the problem is because we're a very small country, we've got a lot of water, but not obviously as much as you guys. So we obviously the zander are not from this country; they don't belong here, and so they're not very well liked by a lot of people. But obviously for us predator fishermen, we love it because they shouldn't be here in the UK. They're a non-invasive species. And they were, I can't remember the story how they got over. It started in a place called Woburn Abbey, I think. Someone will correct me on this anyway. But and then they just got into our water systems. But believe it or not, they have not made it up quite far as where I live in the northwest of Manchester, because they've not made it up here yet. So I have to travel 2 hours to go and catch zander from my home.
Right. They kind of look like a walleye on steroids.
Exactly.
They're like really aggressive.
Could you tell us the differences between zander and walleye?
I was over in Canada 2 years ago. I was filming over there with Matt Hayes. We were doing some walleye fishing and basically just two mates going out enjoying the fishing. And I'd never caught a walleye before. And all I wanted was to catch a walleye, because obviously growing up as a kid, I really wanted to catch one of these walleye, muskie, what you guys get, and I've always had this fascination with the US. But anyway, zander and walleye, personally, I think they're a very, very, very similar species, if not the same species.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure on the scientific names of the walleye and the zander. I don't know. I think personally, when I was catching them in Canada, it was just like unhooking a zander in the UK,
That's similar.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of color change in the tone on the skin or the scales, but apart from that, man, I think they're very, very similar.
I've almost seen some like a blue tinge to some zander. I've never seen that in walleye.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, some of the river zander that I get, they do have a bit of a blue tinge to them. But most of the canal zander that I catch, they're like a goldy colour, like a bronze.
So really,
Beautiful
just like
fish.
a walleye.
More like our walleye, yeah. Well, that's great. I think they have a bit of an attitude too, don't they? A little bit more of an attitude, but that's just a really great something to put on our bucket list anyway, for sure. So, what do you think about the comparisons about the UK and the US, different kinds of fish, and what's your opinion? I assume you've had a chance to fish over here quite a bit.
Believe it or not, I've only been to the US once, and that was to do the ICAST fishing show in Vegas. And I was there for 7 days, and I didn't have time to do anything. I was there representing Costa Sunglasses, and just meeting and greeting people and drinking beer.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
So I never got. So I never got a chance. I never got a chance to wet a line. I've spent a lot of time. Well, I spent 20 days in Canada, fishing various locations, getting the seaplane or whatever you call them from venue to venue, because some of these lakes we were fishing, I've not seen fishermen for years and years and years.
Sure.
So, but apart from that, one of my bucket list fish is largemouth smalleye. Small. Is it smallmouth?
Smallmouth.
Yep.
Largemouth, smallmouth, and one of my ultimate goals is to catch a muskie. Now I was out there again filming in Canada with two of the best guides. A good friend of mine, Tyler Dunn, and we spent 2 days after muskies in the Guala River.
Okay.
I think I pronounced that right. Just off Lake Superior. Yep. And he's had some monster muskies. But guys, it was too hot. We went at the wrong time of year. The filming was very hard. We had to get water and ice shipped out to us where we were fishing on the boat.
Oh man,
it was ridiculous. But the worst thing was, guys, we could see the muskies, and I seen a muskie there. Oh, it was 50 inches plus, man. Wow. It was huge. It was huge fish.
That's a trophy here, definitely. Yeah.
Did you have them following?
That's a monster, mate. They weren't. They were just sat on this sandbar. There was two of them just sat on the sandbar, just sort of like basking, if you want to say.
Gotcha. Yep.
And then the guys were hammering the smallmouths, and then I went on there and spent a full day after him. I was drop shotting for him, and we were catching nothing. And then all of a sudden, I hit this fish, and I'm thinking, yes, this is my first smaller. And the cameras were rolling, and it was a pike.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I caught 4 pike on the drop shot and no smallmouth bass. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we ever can get you over here to the U.S., well, Josh and I'll take you out, and we can maybe cross 3 off your bucket list. Smallmouth and largemouth, they're pretty plentiful here. Yeah. And Josh is kind of a muskie expert, so maybe we'll get you out and get you on a nice tiger, or maybe big tiger muskie would be good.
That would be my dream, that would be amazing. That would be really cool to do that, guys.
Do you know what a tiger muskie is, Ant?
I do, yeah, I do. I've done lots of research on them. I get muskie fishermen delivered to my home.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of dangling the carrot, really, but you can't help but dream, and I think that's what keeps you going.
Absolutely,
in the fishing world, It's about dreaming, and one day you will do it. But I have done it, and I've never caught one. So at least I can say I've done it, but I've not caught one.
Yeah, they're kind of elusive species here. They call them the fish of 10,000 casts, obviously, especially for the purebreds. The tiger's a little more aggressive.
Yeah, the tigers have their pike genes that keep them a lot more active, but the purebreds are incredibly stubborn. You could genuinely go months without catching one.
Yeah. But I think Josh has got the magic touch. When you come out here, we'll spend a day and see if we can't get you on something.
Definitely give it a good shot.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, guys, yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about you, Ant. One of the piece of good news I heard is you're expecting your first child.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, it was a big shock, but it was planned after losing my father. It kind of made me sit down a little bit and grow up.
Right?
Because I've just lived this rock and roll lifestyle as a fisherman, with mixing with people, and it's just made me, I've lived this wild lifestyle now, and I just need to sort of tone it down just a little bit, but still be myself.
Not too much.
No, exactly, not too much, because that's me. And when my missus said, guess what, you know, I'm pregnant, it was like, oh wow. It was, and still to this day, you know, it's not sunk in, but you know, the bump's growing, and yeah, so, but we're not finding out what the baby is. We're just going to get that surprise at
that's
the time.
great.
Very nice.
Well, you have our best. I hope everything goes well for you and the missus on that one.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys, that means a lot. Cheers, appreciate that.
But also, you're talking about you've been living this rock and roll lifestyle. You're not just a casual fisherman. You do actually get out there and rock and roll. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the folks you're dealing with, you're helping out? Matter of fact, I think you have a concert even this afternoon, right?
Yeah, you know, that's right. I mean, you never know who's into fishing, you know, and the people that I've met for over the years who have contacted me and who have mingled with, and just because of not of my love for music, but because I share something in common with them, which is fishing, you know. And I've met some of these amazing people through obviously the music and the fishing industry, and which has gained me lucky enough to enjoy moments and spending time with these people, you know, and without name plugging and stuff, which I don't do, but you know, there's a good friend of mine called Mike Estes. He was one of the Lynyrd Skynyrd guitarists for 5 years, I think 6 years, and
right.
and he's wrote songs and for him, and you know, he's a really cool guy. But I met him through fishing. He's a real keen fisherman. In fact, I think he's got a lake at the bottom of his garden, and he just catches largemouths on lures and that. And I've known him for many years now, and the rest of the band, Skinny Molly, really cool band.
Yeah, just talking about Skinny Molly, we want to give them a shout out, and thanks for letting us use that track. That's just an awesome track. You heard that during the montage. That's when the going gets rough, the tough go fishing, or the rough go fishing. I mean, that's just it's a great track. It's awesome. I think more people need to hear that.
Yeah, it's a great track, and every time I attend a concert for the guys, I go there and help out with the gear and give them a helping hand and just see if the guys are all right. And every time they come on stage, they'll finish Freebird and then they'll kick into that track. And every time they play it, they give me a big shout out, which is pretty cool. And no one cares, by the way. They just, I'd like to dedicate this track to Glascoe Jr. He's the fisherman. And
everybody's going,
yes, he's pretty cool. Mike's a really cool guy, and they're all down to earth as well. But you know, when I'm mixed with them guys, we talk about fishing. We don't really talk about. Obviously, my love is Southern rock. I love Southern rock. I was brought up with it, and I was brought up with all sorts of rock music. But massive fan of Skynyrd, and I try and bite my lip when I'm around Mike, and not to ask him too much about Skynyrd and
sure
and his day, you know, and I think he's the same with me about the fishing side of things as well. So we just talk about fishing and just enjoy it, you know.
Well, that's the way it should be. Yeah, I think that's one of the unique things about fishing and hunting and anything in the outdoors. I think it really transcends any of the boundaries of what your political position is, country lines. Outdoorsmen just love outdoorsmen. We work together, we share stories, we help each other, and I don't know. I think instead of war, we just have a big old fishing tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, yep.
That would solve a lot of problems.
You're right, guys. And when you share something in common, I've flown all around the world, and I've landed in places, and there'll be a fisherman there. Yeah. And he might not talk English. He might not even talk English. But once he knows that you're into fishing, next minute it's as if you've been friends for life. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same with anything that you're into: bikes, fishing, football, or whatever. And it's pretty cool, man. In fact, I've got the guys. The Devon Allman project, man. Listen, it's a big shout out. You need to check them guys out as well. Devon Allman is the son of the late awesome Greg Allman of the Allman Brothers, and these guys are in my hometown as we speak, and their bass player, Justin Dean Corgan, is fishing bonkers. He is, honestly, I thought I was crazy about fishing. I've got this guy messaging me right now as I'm doing this interview with you guys saying, I'm in Manchester and when we going fishing, and it's howling a hoolie outside. So But yeah, so these guys are great. We all share lots in common with each other, and
well, Justin Dean Corrigan, he was, I think he was just over in the States not too long ago, and he did a podcast with our good friends from Rutten River Pursuits. So I think if you guys log on to their podcast, you can sit down and listen to them guys talking. It was a really good episode, and he's definitely into fishing. So it's no matter where you are, if you fish, we're all brothers in that.
Exactly, man. There is definitely a fishing brotherhood going on around the world, It's like talking to you guys now. I've never met you, but talking to you right now over here on this, it's as if we sat in a pub having a pint, It's as if it's as if I've known you for ages, which is really good. And that's the joys of social media, I think people call social media, but it's certainly helped my career out over the years, and I can't call it one bit. I think it's amazing,
Sure. So, well, it even helps like when we're doing the sponsorships. I think you have 2 very good sponsors right now. Why don't you tell us about them?
Yeah, I mean, I was sponsored, and I was helping a major company out. I won't mention the name, but a huge law company, and I was working for them for 10 years, maybe more. I was there from day one. Literally, I mean, I was there from before the brand had a name or had a logo. I was one of the first people in the UK, in fact, the first person to catch on one of their laws. And they're massive in the States now and Canada. And I put a lot of my heart and soul into that. And then one day I just got bored, woke up, and I just thought, you know what? It's kind of taking over my life. I need to sort of enjoy me time rather than, I don't know, what's the word for it? Rather than being careful of what gear you're using, what hat that I'm wearing.
Sure, sure.
Which I really enjoyed it, but I just wanted to get back to me and enjoy it even more,
Sure.
So I woke up and I just told the company, I love you to bits, but unfortunately I'm going to leave, which was a huge shock. I put the announcement on Facebook, man, and it got like 800 likes, as if to say, wow, why are you going? Why you've done so much for this brand? But I left on good terms, At least I can say I left and not got sacked.
Sure, sure.
Like some people. But yeah, no, I left on good terms. I still talk to the guys, and if I need gear, the guys send me gear, if I need it. But there's a lot of companies that have been helping me out. Spro, Westin, Live Target. The guys at Live Target have been amazing with me, and because I've not signed any contracts, I can, they're still getting the promotion.
Sure.
And I'm using different rods and different reels, which is really cool. But my 2 main sponsors at the moment, or 3 main sponsors at the moment, is I'm an ambassador for Costa Del Mar.
Nice.
Costa Sunglasses. I've been with them for nearly 10 years.
Oh, very nice.
And Lawrence, I've been with the guys for just over 10 years. They've been amazing. The guys at Navico have been absolutely amazing. In fact, I'm attending the 50th year anniversary boat show in Southampton in the UK. So if you're listening to this, if you're from Britain, maybe come down and have a chat, and come and get your Lawrence. We're doing some free Lawrence tuition, where we can, if you bring a micro SD card, we will update your units for free.
Oh, nice.
Help you with that. So yeah, so everything's kicking off. So yeah, Lawrence, Costa, Pike Pro, Bait Box, they've all been great. Muck Boots, they've all been absolutely brilliant with me, so I can't complain.
Well, that's good. It's they appreciate someone who does the sport well, as so it's a good synergy to develop. And I think our sponsor Deeper, we work well together and we promote each other, so it's a good business.
Yeah. Well, and you can't take it away from, go ahead. You can't take it away from Deeper. Deeper, I've used some of their stuff. That doesn't belong to me. I've used some of their stuff before the Lawrence Fish Hunter came out, which is obviously similar, but very different units between them.
Yeah, little friendly competition there. That's okay. It's good. Yeah.
So it's all cool. But to be fair, you know, even when I was with big sponsors, you know, I was always supporting real music as well by wearing, you know, a band cap or a band T-shirt, you know.
Sure.
And then I think that's what makes me an individual with the rest of the people in the UK fishing, you know.
Sure. So that's great. Well, that music we're hearing here is telling us we're about ready to run out of time, Josh. So I think we're going to wrap up this one, but I hope we get a chance to get Ant back on the show because I got a ton more stuff about fishing I want to talk to him about. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I got a bunch of questions.
Yeah, so maybe we can get you back on soon, or maybe even better, we'll get you over here in the States, catch you muskie, and then we'll talk about that on the show. What do you think, Ant?
That would be amazing, guys. You know?
I think we'll have to set that up. We'll go get a pint and get a muskie.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, that is going to wrap things up for today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. What a great show. Special thanks to Ant Glascoe Jr. For Josh and I, we're out of here, and we're going to let Skinny Molly take us out with When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Go Fishing. Enjoy. Get those lines wet. See you next time.
Bye.
When the going gets tough, the tough go fishing. When the going gets tough, enough's enough. Calling a bluff can be some mighty strong stuff. Can't stand the heat, hell, I'm out of the kitchen. When the going gets tough, the tough go fishing. J-Lo.